While we commend Prudential for its progressive action in acquiring Assurance IQ in 2019 for $2.35 billion and pushing their digital technologies into the market, we need to discuss what went wrong and why it failed. I'm Paul with Excel Media, and today we'll uncover some lessons learned. I'll share my professional take on this story and how there just might yet be another opportunity to achieve that explosion of sales growth that I know guys like Charles Lowrey, Andrew Sullivan, and Caroline Feeney intended when they signed on to purchase this enormous insurtech startup. But let's start with a fun fact. Although this $2.35 billion insurtech M&A was the largest in recorded history, this wasn't the full intended price tag. The complete purchase was to be a whopping $3.5 billion. So what happened to the missing $1.15 billion? Well, it was scheduled to be paid out in what we call earnouts. All in the insurance space know what paid as earned means. And since this company's performance right out of the gate was subpar, these earnouts were never earned and thereby never realized as part of the entire purchase. Nonetheless, Assurance IQ's collapse was a TCPA nightmare. They used illegal autodialing software to blast millions with robocalls and pre-recorded messages, and without prior express written consent, violating the FCC rules. Now, any and everyone involved in the use of outgoing calls and messaging in today's financial sales world must be educated in what is and what is not allowed in TCPA. And although our audience is rather private, those of you who have been receiving our content will already know that we've twice now interviewed possibly the world's most educated and involved TCPA attorney, Eric Troutman, to bring clarity to these issues. In 2022, consumer complaints to the FTC spiked, with Assurance IQ's calls getting flagged as spam. At the time, it was primarily their Medicare operations that was pissing off the public. But by 2024, these same technologies were growing among the life insurance operations as well, ultimately synthesizing and getting the entire operation under lawsuit. Prudential shut it down. In my opinion, Prudential handled this like a mob boss. I got intel that suggests that Prudential was so over the fiasco that they paid all the lawsuits and then closed the doors to Assurance IQ on top of everything. Understand this. This should set the tone for the entire telesales insurance industry, showing everyone just how critical TCPA compliance really is. And we've also covered how costly this could be for the individual agent, who's personally liable if caught using these digital communications without consumer consent. Now let's talk about Assurance IQ's digital-first strategy, and you'll see really quickly why I'm such a critic. It is my advice that you must not make the attempt to totally sideline in-person communication. There's no way to build trust. In finance, wouldn't you agree that trust is at least somewhat important? Today's texting and email culture avoids confrontation, which erodes interpersonal skills and pretty much fuels distrust. All of these components are crucial for someone acting in a fiduciary capacity. Read any study on the science of trust. Clients crave authentic human connections, not robocalls. I'm seeing insurance agencies out there today where their sole mission is to create what they're calling faceless insurance, where the entire process is completed with the agent of record never once consulting or even meeting the client. No income conversation, no financial needs assessment, no budget discussion, not even an opportunity to exchange names. What's the point of a license? Regarding Assurance IQ, my question to the technology direction was, what was the end game? To see how many automated communications will be sent out in order to yield a single sale? I've consulted with many agents operating these automated technologies. Would you believe that I'm getting reports that a single agent is making over 1,000 calls in a single week? And that's being conservative. You have to consider also from where the data comes. Examples like Quote Wizard will show you that just because you have a database full of consumer contact info, you can't expect to digitally blast this consumer base over and over and expect at random people to cave in and buy life insurance. The model was just broken from the start. And remember, it showed when it came to the balance sheet. During a 2023 earnings call, Prudential's then Chief Financial Officer, Ken Tanji, announced an inclusion of a goodwill impairment charge of approximately $713 million just to offset expecting earnings from Q4 of 2022. Can you imagine the pressure that Ken Tanji must have felt as he's trying to reassure investors that Prudential was funding these losses as they incurred? Got to give this man some credit. But in the end, it was the TCPA violations that untied the rope to the guillotine. See, there was another negative connection to be made here. Assurance IQ's autodialing methods were getting picked up by those scam call centers. Fake Medicare calls, government subsidy fraud, financial data collection scams, they all piggyback on this same illegal tech, tainting this entire industry. But consumers now distrust all agents thanks to these nuisance calls and communications. I'll say it again. Prudential definitely showed ambition by putting their money where their mouth is, as the cliche goes. I'd say the big lesson learned here is that digital technologies alone is not the answer. It takes away from professionalism. Now, I wouldn't just study these cases without putting up the efforts to develop an alternative solution. This is where I introduce the Excel Blue Ocean strategy. It meets the criteria for successful, sustainable growth. Compliant databases of consented leads with proven interest in life insurance, strict professional outreach, not brown wall call blasting, TCPA education and adherence to compliance, and a design structure for immediate rinse and repeat action while building a consistent referral-based long-term horizon. Prudential's vision deserves much praise. I do not want to see the Assurance IQ failure squash the pursuit of discovering a superior way to grow the life insurance industry. We still have work to do. So we invite you to join us at goexcel.com, where you can read more of our publications and to schedule a consultation if you want to learn more about the Excel Blue Ocean strategy. And be on the lookout for us to find you. We'll see you soon.